Good morning, YouTube. As you know, one of the things that sucks about having a Ferrari is that they kind of all have parasitic loss. In fact, they usually have quite a bit of parasitic loss. The recommendation is if the car is actually in a garage, it should be on a battery tender. As you can see, mine is on the battery tender right now. Every time it's in the garage, the first thing I do is plug it back into the battery tender. Part of that's because the batteries that we're using, the technology in these batteries is the same old technology that they've been using in cars for, I don't know, 70, 80 years or something like that. A long time. You know, they're using big old lead acid batteries. Granted, the batteries are a little bit better than they were back in the day, but they're still kind of crap. And of course, the interesting thing is we've got much better battery technology. So we now have really good lithium batteries that seem to last a lot longer, offer more power, are way lighter. They also have some interesting features. When I was at SEMA, I ran into a company called Anti-Gravity Batteries. That was the only company there that I got really excited about their product and really wanted to do a collaboration with. Thankfully, they agreed and they sent me some of their products. So I'm gonna show you this new anti-gravity lithium battery, and it's absolutely awesome. And all of you with Ferraris, in fact, all of you that have cars that are your fun cars, you're probably gonna wanna buy one of these batteries. This is good for all cars, not just the Ferrari. This is good for everyone, but let me show you what's going on, and you guys are gonna be you're gonna like this product, trust me.
Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
So yes, this video is sponsored by Anti-Gravity Batteries. They sent me one of their batteries, and they also sent me their battery tracker, which we're going to talk about this in a second. bit.ly/NGSAGBAT. So that's NGSAGBAT. The other cool thing is they're hooking you guys up with a 10% discount. Alright, so here's what they sent me. Obviously they sent me the big anti-gravity battery. What's crazy is that this is actually super light. The really cool thing about this, it's got this new technology called built-in jump start. Basically what that means is if the battery senses that it's got a drain and it's losing power, it's actually going to shut off. The battery will kind of hold a charge that's at least enough to start the car a few times, like I think they said 6 times. And the way you turn it back on is they actually give you a remote, or you can push the button on the battery. So if your battery is getting drained, it's going to stop itself before it actually gets too low to actually start your car. You get back in your car, you push the remote, you turn your battery back on, and you're actually able to start your car. What that kind of means is that stupid cord is no longer necessary. I don't have to plug in the damn car into a battery tender every single time I come home. The battery that is in the car right now is probably about 200 bucks. It's actually like 180 is the cheapest I've seen it. If you buy a generic whatever version, I've seen as much as like 250, even 300 bucks. So yes, this does cost more, but this lasts 10 years. Those last about 3, if you're lucky 5, but I live in Texas, so yeah, 3 years if you're lucky. And then the other crazy thing is that battery has 900 cold cranking amps. This one has 1500. The other cool thing is they sent me this battery tracker. So this thing actually connects to my phone, so I download a little app. It's gonna actually track the battery status and send it to my phone via Bluetooth, and we can actually see how my battery is doing at all times. Here's where things are gonna be really cool. All of you data nerds, including myself, are really gonna love this. So when I contacted them and said, hey, you know, do you wanna do a collaboration? They said yes. They said, actually, the first thing I wanna do is have me plug in the battery tracker, and then we're gonna track my car's battery use for about a week or 2. So we're gonna do it on its current battery. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect that thing right now to the car. We're gonna disconnect the tender, and we're not gonna use the tender for a week or 2. And I'm gonna drive it a few times and start it up, and obviously things like that, and monitor how the battery behaves when we're starting it, when we're charging it, using the alternator, when it's just sitting there. So we know how that battery is gonna behave once it's in the car. So that's pretty awesome, the fact that they're wanting to do this, and they wanna make sure that these batteries are gonna work really well in the 458 and make sure that we got the right spec battery. So, you know, they offer lots of different battery options, so they wanna make sure that this is the right battery for the right car. They're taking this very seriously, and I love the fact that they're wanting to get data before they just say, here's a battery. So very cool company, super awesome people to work with. Best of all, an amazing product. All right, so the battery in the 458 is just the same place as the 360 and 430. The good news is that it's pretty easy to access. The downside is you're basically sitting here on your knees. So unlike the 430, there's nothing to unscrew. We just pull this little latch, and there's our battery. Since we're gonna be messing around with the battery, the first thing I'm gonna do is actually disconnect the negative terminal. To disconnect the battery terminal, we've got a quick disconnect. You just pull it and then push up on it, and it kind of needs to wiggle a bit. Oh my. There we go. Come on, wiggle, wiggle. there it goes. So that way we now have access to a negative terminal right there, and we have access to a positive terminal right there. Loosen up our positive terminal. It's just a 10mm socket. All right, so we got the positive terminal on there. We'll tighten that down. And now we gotta do the same thing for the negative terminal. All right, there we go. So battery tracker installed. Now we're just gonna reconnect the battery. There, theoretically the battery tracker is now working. So let's go check the app. It's claiming my battery is pretty low power, only 12.8 volts. I think it's because these batteries tend to sit at a higher voltage just even when they're off. So what we're gonna wanna do is do a crank test. I think what we do is we leave this on and then we actually try and start the car. Fascinating enough, just opening the door to my car turned on a bunch of the computers, and you can see it went down to 12.5352 volts. We're gonna put in the keys and reset the clock and all that stuff, and then start the car and do a crank test. All right, so I'm kind of curious to see how it reacts putting the keys in, just turning the keys forward, because the lights and stuff come on automatically. So, oh yeah, look at that. Dropped it even further, all the way down to 12.17. So it gets low. It gets pretty low just doing nothing on this car. I'm gonna crank it. So let's put on crank test. And car's already turned forward, so foot on the brake, and here we go. Crank voltage was 10.38. Cranking voltage is okay. Go back to our regular voltage. You can see now it's running at 13.5, so much better voltage, and it's actually going up as we sit here. Okay, so now that the tracker's installed, we're actually going to wait about a week or so before we install the actual anti-gravity lithium battery with restarts. Yeah, I guess we'll see you in a week and see how the data looks.
Eventually.
Okay, YouTube, we're back. It's been about a week or so. I'm gonna actually do a fun experiment before we put in the anti-gravity battery. First thing I'm gonna do is show you, I've got my little chart that actually shows all of the battery's voltage over the past week. You can see every time I drove the car, how much power it had when it started and blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna show you those sorts of features, and then we're gonna do a fun experiment, so hold on for that. You can see it had about 12.8 volts was kind of after the car runs, 12.85, and then you can see onto the next day, it kind of slowly worked its way down to 12.78, and then the next day it kind of kept going all the way down to 12.76. So it lost about 0.1 volts over, what was that, 2 to 3 days. Then I obviously drove the car again, so you can see the big spikes, and then again it's back up to 12.8 something, and then the car again sat, so it got all the way down to 12.71 through the Thanksgiving weekend. Didn't really drive the car, 12.68. So it seems to be that we have a pretty good alternator. The car charges up the battery pretty good. We do obviously have some parasitic loss just from the car sitting around, and I don't know if it's the computers or whatever, something just kind of drains the battery just a little bit. Pretty common on these Ferraris, that's why they always say put them on a battery tender, but I don't think it's enough where we have to care about running a battery tender with the anti-gravity, because number one, it's got more juice, and number two, it's got the restart, the jump start feature. So even if it does discharge too much, the battery's gonna turn itself off and be happy. So that's pretty badass. That's supposed to be this badass solution with this restart feature where it saves your butt when things get discharged. Let's test that, right? So here's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the car and I'm gonna turn the key in the ignition and put on the headlights, and we're gonna let it run for about an hour, and that should be enough where it probably has a hard time starting, or hopefully can't even start with the current battery, with the original battery. Then I'm gonna take and put in the anti-gravity battery, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. So we're gonna put it in, turn on the key, put on the lights, and let it sit for about an hour, and then see if it can start. And hopefully it won't start, and then we'll be able to turn on the restart feature, and then it will start. And so we get to actually demonstrate that. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the keys in the car and turn it forward, and so you can see my headlights are on. We even have the ACs running. Oh yeah, and look at that. It's all the way down to 12.0 volts. While it's sitting here, let's start a timer. All right, so we're gonna let it run for an hour. So there it goes, 1 hour. All right, YouTube, it's been a little over 20 minutes, and we are down to 11.83 volts. I mean, the headlights still look pretty strong. I guess these are probably pretty energy efficient headlights nowadays. All right, we're 40 minutes in, and we are down to 11.57 or 8 volts. All right, YouTube, it's been over an hour now. Whoop, come back. And we're down to 10.73 volts, which I am not confident that's gonna start the car. Let's try it. All right, let's give it a shot. Ready? Oh! Oh, it's dead! She's dead, buddy! Woohoo! We killed it! Oh, look at getting all sorts of failures. All right, well, so 1 hour kills the battery. Oh yeah, look at that. Electrical system failures. Go to the dealer. She is done for. All right, well, let's change out that battery. Let's disconnect the battery just like before. There. All right, to get the battery out, we got these 5mm Allen heads. Get the positive terminal off. There. Okay, now we got that big beast out. Let's see how much it actually weighs. All right, here we go. 45.5 pounds, 45.6. Versus the anti-gravity, 15.4. It's over 30 pounds less weight. Yeah, that'll do. All right, just from the weight alone, this is so much easier to deal with. Like, you don't have to be totally uncomfortable trying to lift this giant behemoth up into there. It's so much easier to deal with. Get the positive lead on. Pop the negative terminal cap. Get that negative terminal on there. All right, now we just gotta put the battery retainer back on. New battery is in. There we go. New battery is in, and holy crap, it's at 13.24 volts. Whoa, this thing's got a lot of juice. Yeah, I'm gonna start it real quick just to make sure it works, and then we'll let it sit for an hour and see if it starts again. All right, so like I said, we're just gonna start it real quick just to make sure it even works. So anytime you pull the battery in a car, you're supposed to let it sit for a moment before turning on the car itself. So turn the key forward, let it sit. This lets the computer kind of just recalibrate stuff for a moment. So, all right, it's been about 30 seconds, so we'll give it a start. Starts up, no problem. All right, you can see while it's running, we're at 14.17 volts. Obviously, it's spiked up pretty good. So looking at the graph, you can see there's where we killed the old battery, got the new battery in, and then started the new battery. You can see it really went up. Alrighty, we're gonna turn it off. And just like before, I'm gonna turn it on. We're gonna turn on the fan, and the lights are on, and all that stuff. And we'll just let it sit. And just like before, we'll try again in an hour. A little less than 30 minutes, so about 25 minutes. And we're down to 12.35. It's saying it's 55%, so I think percentage is actually accurate once you're using the actual lithium-ion batteries. We'll see if once it gets down to 0, if it shuts off automatically. I think that's what it's supposed to do.
20 minutes later.
Ooh, I just walked in, so it's been an hour. And if you notice, the car is off. There is no battery power whatsoever. Yeah, look at that. Keys are still in the ignition. Oh yeah, look at it. It doesn't have it's not updating. So it's right now 6:52, and you can see it hasn't updated in about 10 minutes. So it must have exceeded the low threshold. So we get to test the self-start, the restart feature, the jump start feature. That's really cool. Okay, this is gonna be cool. If you notice, the key is still forward. Look at it. Oh, badass. So the battery detects that it's got a drain, it automatically shuts itself off to protect it from going to 0. We can do one of two things. We can push this button on the remote control, or there's a button on top of the battery. So I'm gonna push this button, which should turn back on the power to the car and allow me to start the car. So check this out, ready? Oh, look at that. It's coming back to life. Oh, this is so cool. What a cool feature. I bet you now, look, will this connect? Oh, there it goes, 11.98, it's at 0. Okay, so let's see if I turn it forward. Oh yeah, we got power, ready? Oh, and it starts right up. Look at that. Oh, that is phenomenal. That is so damn cool. Dude, I'm so excited about that. That is so cool. I don't need a stupid battery tender anymore. Well, I'm gonna go drive the car around the block to charge up the battery since it's not gonna be on a tender anymore. So let's do that real quick and then we'll talk. All right, just got done driving around for about 10 minutes or so. And it's saying it's at 29%. We'll see what happens when I turn it off. I think it's gonna drop down pretty far. So we'll see. All right, here we go. All right, what's it drop down to? Not too bad, 13.3 volts. So driving around about 10 minutes, got the battery power all the way up to 13.3 volts. That's pretty impressive. That recharged really quickly. That's awesome, man. So I easily could restart the car now. So as you can see, the new anti-gravity lithium battery is pretty badass. I'm super happy with that. So here's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep one of the remotes in the car in case I'm traveling. The other remote I'm gonna keep here in the garage. I'm not gonna keep it on my keychain just because I don't want this thing dangling around on keychain, but I'm just gonna keep it here in my garage. That way, you want it to be out of the car, or at least you want one remote out of the car, because with these cars, if the battery dies completely, the window won't roll down when you open the door. So yes, you could use the key and actually unlock the door, but then you risk damaging the glass because it won't roll down. Also, you're gonna have to use the, like, a little emergency pull cord in order to open up the glove box if it's in the glove box. That is really incredible. That battery is awesome. So go visit their website, go to bit.ly/NGSAGBAT. That's NGSAGBAT. So NGS anti-gravity battery. Go buy one of the batteries. Next time you have a battery die, don't go buy a regular crappy piece of crap. It's only gonna last 2-3 years. If you live in Texas, you might get lucky and get 3 years out of them. 10 years life, way lighter. Jumpstart feature, the restart feature is pretty badass, and it's lithium, so it lasts way better, and it has more amps. So actually this thing is way more powerful than the battery that was already in the cars. If I haven't convinced you now, I don't know what's going to convince you, but go get an anti-gravity battery. So yes, again, this video was sponsored by Anti-Gravity. You guys know we got a lot of car stuff coming your way, so you guys want to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Make sure it's set to notify you for all notifications. That way you actually get the notifications and it doesn't just sort of remind you. Occasionally it reminds you all the time. Watch my videos and hit the thumbs up. I do appreciate it when you guys do that. But we have a lot of car stuff coming your way. You guys are going to want to stay tuned. It's going to be sweet.